This is the United States Cartoon Football League, where cartoons and football have come together since 1981.
YouTube welcomes you to the following presentation of the United States Cartoon Football League.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the USCFL Network, in association with YouTube, presents the USCFL Postgame Show. Here's once again is Robbie Graham.
Greetings, cartoon and football fans. This is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network bringing you the action and highlights of Week 6 of the USCFL's 45th anniversary season. If you're joining us for the first time, may we extend to you a cordial welcome, and we hope you'll enjoy everything this channel has to offer. We also invite you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel and join our team. The USCFL is family-friendly entertainment. There is nothing in our videos parents or guardians would find offensive, so let the kids watch along with you. The USCFL is on Patreon, and for as low as $3 a month or 10 cents a day, we can offer merchandise and special perks to help show your love and support for America's oldest fantasy football league. Now for the main attraction. This week's games were kind of dull. In Game 11, the Fox All-Stars faced the Warner Brothers All-Stars in a game Fox hoped they could bounce back after a disastrous Round 1 loss to Disney. In Game 12, the Dick All-Stars also were looking to turn their fortunes around after the skunking they got from Hanna-Barbera in Round 1 against the Nickelodeon All-Stars, who knocked off the defending champs in Round 1. Did Dick pull off a shocking upset, or did Nickelodeon slime them? Find out in 1 minute when we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 11 between the Fox All-Stars and the Warner Brothers All-Stars from Philadelphia.
I saw you there, just standing there. And I thought I was only dreaming, yeah. I kissed you then once again. You said you would come and dance with me. Dance with me across the sea.
Welcome back. In Philadelphia, the Fox All-Stars, the last of the three teams that lost and scored 10 points in Round 1, took on the Warner Brothers All-Stars, who won and scored 58 points in Round 1. Can Fox defeat the Looney Tunes at home, or did Bugs Bunny make Bart Simpson eat his shorts? It wasn't much of a game scoring-wise, but a win is a win. And here is the highlights of this game.
Daffy Duck gets things started for Warner Brothers, punching it in from 1 yard out. Warner Brothers leads 7-0. In the second quarter, Bugs Bunny goes to the air and finds Speedy Gonzalez on a 49-yard touchdown strike, and Warner Brothers extends the lead to 14-0. For the rest of the game, the kickers did the scoring. First, Wile E. Coyote kicks a 30-yard field goal to make it 17-0 at halftime. Fox finally gets on the board as Milhouse Van Houten connects from 17 yards to trail 17-3. Wile E. Coyote answers with another 30-yard field goal, making it 20-3. Millhouse adds a 30-yard field goal, trimming the deficit to 20-6. Millhouse stays busy, hitting from 22 yards out, his third of the game as Fox makes it 20-9. Wile E. Coyote closes the door with a 28-yard field goal as time expires. Warner Brothers wins 23-9. For the second straight game, the Fox All-Stars fails to get into the end zone on offense and scored less in this game.
And here are the stats for Game 11 between the Fox All-Stars and the Warner Brothers All-Stars. First for Fox, Bart Simpson finished 29 of 49 for 349 yards and 3 interceptions. Philip J. Fry rushed for 95 yards on 23 carries. Lisa Simpson led the receivers as she caught 5 passes for 63 yards. Bobby Hill of King of the Hill led the defense with 5 tackles and 3 assists. Millhouse Van Houten scored all 9 points for Fox. For Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny finished 26 of 46 for 299 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Daffy Duck rushed for 98 yards on 29 carries and 1 touchdown. Speedy Gonzalez led the receivers as he caught 7 passes for 131 yards and 1 touchdown. Yako Warner of Animaniacs led the defense with 8 tackles and 3 assists. Yosemite Sam was the player of the game with 5 tackles, 4 sacks, and 4 assists. Wile E. Coyote finished with 11 points. And in 1 minute, we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 12 between the Dick All-Stars and the Nickelodeon All-Stars from Detroit. Welcome back. In Detroit, both the Dick All-Stars and the Nickelodeon All-Stars had 5 weeks to prepare for this game. They both played in Week 1, where Nickelodeon defeated the 80s All-Stars 54-42, while Dick lost to Hanna-Barbera 64-24. But which team came out on top? Here is the highlights of this game that did end up going down to the wire.
SpongeBob SquarePants gets Nickelodeon on the board first, finding Jasmine Jazz Fenton from Danny Phantom on a 32-yard touchdown pass. Nickelodeon leads 7-0. Dick answers late in the quarter as Marty from Captain Planet connects on a 30-yard field goal, cutting the lead to 7-3. Archie Andrews breaks loose for a 40-yard touchdown run, giving Dick the lead at 10-7. Marty adds a 39-yard field goal to extend the lead to 13-7. Later in the quarter, Marty stays perfect with a 35-yard field goal, his third, making it 16-7 Dick. Nickelodeon responds before halftime as Sam Manson drills a 44-yard field goal. Then, as the first half comes to an end, Sam Manson connects again from 27 yards out, trimming the Dick lead 16-13 at halftime, the only score of the third quarter, as Archie Andrews scores his second touchdown of the night, powering in from 12 yards out. Dick extends the lead to 23-13. The fourth quarter belonged to Nickelodeon and begins to rally as Sam Manson connects from 22 yards away, cutting the deficit to 23-16. Later in the quarter, Nickelodeon pulls even closer with a 40-yard field goal. Sam Manson's fourth field goal, making it 23-19. Then, with just over 2 minutes remaining, Danny Phantom punches it in from 1 yard out, as Nickelodeon won 26-23.
And here are the stats for Game 12 between the Dick All-Stars and the Nickelodeon All-Stars. For Dick, Sonic the Hedgehog finished 23 of 42 for 249 yards and 1 interception. Archie Andrews rushed for 167 yards on 34 carries and 2 touchdowns. Knuckles led the receivers as he caught 7 passes for 91 yards. Heathcliff led the defense with 6 tackles and 5 assists. Mati finished with 11 points. For Nickelodeon, SpongeBob finished 26 of 45 for 329 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Danny Phantom, the player of the game, rushed for 139 yards on 31 carries and 1 touchdown. Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender led the receivers as she caught 7 passes for 94 yards. Timmy Turner of the Fairly Odd Parents led the defense with 6 tackles and 4 assists. Sam Manson of Danny Phantom finished with 14 points. And in 1 minute, the USCFL will continue its new investigative series, as we will help to resolve another Scooby-Doo misnomer. Find out exactly why it took 41 years for Fred and Daphne to finally become an item.
I walk 47 miles of barbed wire. I got a cobra snake for a necktie. A brand new house along the roadside, and it's made out of rattlesnake hide. Got a brand new chin that baby built on top, and it's made out of human skull. Come on, take a little walk with me, baby, and tell me, who do you love? Who do you love? Now around the town, use a rattlesnake whip. Take it easy, baby, don't you give me no lip. Who do you love? baby, you're mine. I'm just 22 and I don't mind dying. Ooh, do you love?
Welcome back. There have been in animation a lot of couples. Some married, some date. Which couple do you think of? Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable? Pebbles and Bam Bam? Fry and Leela? Fred and Daphne? What? Fred and Daphne? The idea might not cross the mind in this regard because of when Scooby-Doo first premiered. But after more than 4 decades, all that changed in 2010 during Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. In our new investigative series, find out why it took 41 years for Fred and Daphne to finally become, at long last, boyfriend and girlfriend.
Why did it take 41 years for Fred and Daphne to become an item? For more than 4 decades, one of the most obvious relationships in animation history was never officially allowed to become fully real. From the very beginning of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? In 1969, viewers could clearly see the connection between Fred Jones and Daphne Blake. They were almost always paired together during investigations, constantly separated from Shaggy and Scooby, and often shown protecting or comforting one another during dangerous situations. Yet despite all the hints, the franchise avoided officially making them a true couple for over 40 years. Part of the reason was the era in which Scooby-Doo was created. Late 1960s and 1970s, children's television operated under much stricter broadcast standards than modern animation. Romance between teenage characters could be implied, but networks generally avoided openly showing dating relationships in children's programming. Fred and Daphne could stand close together, hold each other during frightening moments, or investigate alone, but the shows rarely went beyond subtle implications. They could never openly act like a serious boyfriend and girlfriend relationship because the series was designed first and foremost as a family-friendly mystery cartoon. Even so, the clues were always there. One famous example comes from the original series when Daphne becomes frightened and instinctively jumps into Fred's arms after a scare. Moments like these were common throughout the franchise. Fred was usually portrayed as protective and dependable, while Daphne increasingly became the person most connected to him emotionally. To younger viewers, these scenes simply looked natural, but older fans eventually began to recognize that the relationship had quietly existed beneath the surface all along. The franchise itself also kept resetting its status quo. During the 1970s and early 1980s, Scooby-Doo went through major format changes, including the addition of Scrappy-Doo and the temporary removal of Fred and Daphne from the cast. When Daphne returned full-time in 1983, however, something important changed. She was no longer simply danger-prone Daphne. She became more independent, more confident, and far more capable as a leader and investigator. Her chemistry with Fred also became stronger and more believable because the characters now felt like equals instead of stereotypes from a 1960s cartoon formula. As animation evolved during the 1990s and 2000s, audiences also changed. Many of the people watching Scooby-Doo were no longer children discovering the franchise for the first time. They were longtime fans who had grown up with the characters and wanted to see them develop emotionally instead of remaining frozen forever. Direct-to-video movies and newer television series slowly began acknowledging what viewers had suspected for years. Eventually, productions like Scooby-Doo, Mystery Incorporated openly explored the relationship between Fred and Daphne, finally allowing the two characters to function as an actual couple rather than just implied romantic partners. In reality, it did not take 41 years for Fred and Daphne to fall in love. To many fans, they already were. What took 41 years was for television to finally allow the relationship to openly exist. The chemistry, closeness, and emotional connection had been built into the characters from the very beginning. The franchise simply needed decades of changing storytelling styles, changing audiences, and changing television standards before it finally stopped pretending that Fred and Daphne were just friends.
In 1 minute, we will reveal the answer to last week's trivia question, this week's question, and a preview of next week's games. Welcome back. Now for the answer to last week's trivia question. We asked true or false. Tom and Jerry inspired Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons. If you guessed true, you are correct. Even though Itchy and Scratchy are a little more violent and sometimes grotesque, it was the less violent antics of Tom and Jerry that inspired Itchy and Scratchy cartoons. Now for this week's question. The category is SpongeBob by the Numbers, Part 5. The degree of difficulty is All-Star. In the episode, the algae is always greener. Plankton becomes the owner of the Krusty Krab in a parallel time. SpongeBob goes to him and says that he gave a customer a large drink instead of a medium and soiled the Krusty Krab name. Then he repeats the words, soiled it. How many times does SpongeBob says, soiled it? Is the correct answer A, 15 times, B, 21 times, C, 28 times, or D, 32 times? We will have the answer for you next week. And that will wrap things up for Week 6 of the USCFL's 45th anniversary season. Next week, we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 13 between the DC Comics All-Stars and Team Canada from Edmonton, and the highlights of Game 14 between the Modern Cartoon All-Stars and the Disney All-Stars from Orlando, along with our next investigative segment and trivia question. And until next Sunday, this is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network wishing all you moms out there a happy Mother's Day and wishing you all peace. Take care and stay safe.
This has been a webcast of the United States Cartoon Football League on YouTube and is intended for the viewing and listening pleasure of our audience. All cartoons seen and music heard are copyrights of their respected owners. They were used for the purpose of entertainment and education, and therefore no breach of copyright laws were intended. This is a copyrighted feature, and any rebroadcast or re-uploading of this webcast without express written permission of the United States Cartoon Football League is prohibited.
YouTube thanks you for watching this presentation of the United States Cartoon Football League.
This has been a First and 10 production.